but usually that self-sabotage either comes from I don't feel worthy or ready to move into that next room, or I'm actually really not sure what that's going to look like. It's a big challenge if you don't have confidence in your offer. So, start small and move some people through it. So sending out a really simple email to your list. I'm looking for 5 people who want to lose 10 pounds in the next 8 weeks. We've designed a new program. I'd love to put it through you in a beta context. And you can either do it for free or you can do it as a discount or whatever the case may be. But if you're feeling resistance, like you can't speak to your offer with confidence, then what's really happening and the real gap that we're dealing with is like you just don't feel it yet. And it's really hard to sell something that you're like, I actually don't know if this works. I haven't moved enough people through it. So asking some people to come and be a part of it, moving them through in what I will call a beta mode is one of the easiest ways to build the confidence you will need to sell that offer with what often feels like integrity, right? When you're like, okay, I've put 10 people through it, I know it works. It's so much easier to speak with conviction and confidence around what it is that you're delivering. Move some people through it, step into that authority, and then try selling it again. Yeah, capacity and demand. This is the milestone, right? When we get demand in our practice, it opens us up to new possibilities. But sometimes if we're not sure what that next layer would look like, what that new possibility might be, we will get into this self-sabotage mode. And check in on yourself, because if you're self-sabotaging there, you're probably self-sabotaging in other areas as well. But the biggest thing I've seen in my experience in working with people when they're reaching their max and their threshold where they're going to have to raise their rates or they're going to have to launch something new, it's usually resistance and friction around what that next iteration will look like. So maybe they don't have clarity around that offer. Maybe they really like working with patients and don't want to have to change up what it is they are doing. But usually that self-sabotage either comes from I don't feel worthy or ready to move into that next room, or I'm actually really not sure what that's going to look like. I have too many ideas too. I can totally relate to this idea of like, how the heck do I focus? Like, which ones are worthy and which ones aren't? And to be honest, at different phases of my life, different ideas are going to serve different purposes. So the first thing I will check in with myself on is like, what do I want right now? Is this an idea that's going to free up my time? Is this an idea that's going to drive more income? Is this an idea that I can hire somebody else to deploy? Do I need to do it? So all of this really comes back to, I'm going to speak about myself for a second because I suffer from the same ailment, is knowing what I'm clearly trying to move towards in this moment. So if I'm trying to move towards a place where I'm like, I want to earn $50,000 a month, it's really easy for me to triage. Is this an opportunity that's going to move me closer to the goal that I'm working on right now? Or is this something I should actually just shelve for this period of time? If I'm working on a goal where I want to create more passive income opportunities and I want to hire other people to run them, is this something that would satisfy this? Yes or no? Okay, like every time you have an idea, there's going to be an opportunity cost. It's either going to pull your time away or it's going to pull resources away. So we really need a system and an ability to triage very quickly whether or not this is going to add to your current goal or it's going to take away. The last piece I'll just share is like we need the financial goal piece, but we also need to understand like what's our underlying mission. So for me, my core belief is that when people have their health, they can change the world. And if I hold that as the thing that informs whether or not I'm going to move forward in a business or not, it makes it very easy for me to triage all of these ideas. Is this something that advances my mission in life, or is this something that's actually going to detract from it? And if it's going to detract from it, I need another really good, really compelling reason to move it forward. And just one thing I'll add on that. A few years ago, I decided, I'm like, I want a planner and I don't like any of the planners. I want to make my own planner. Fine. And I went through the same exercise. Is this going to contribute to the big picture vision? Is this going to take away resources? Is this going to take away time? And the answer was yes to all of those things. And I wanted to do it anyway. And so I allow myself twice per year to have what I call a 5 a.m. project. So if I'm so passionate about putting this thing into the world that I am willing to get up at 5 in the morning to make it happen, I'm going to borrow from my sleep time to bring this project into the world, then I am allowed to do it. And so that's just a lens and a framework that I would lend to you. Is it something that is worth getting up at 5 a.m. to birth into the world? Is it going to augment the other pieces that you're working on? If so, go for it. Yeah. When do we hire? When do we fix a system? Or when does AI just solve all of the problems for us? I think it's actually that simple. We just we run through the nature of the problem and ask yourself, have we cleaned up all of the operations to the best of our capacity? Yes or no? Is this a solution, or is this a problem that could be fixed by AI? Yes or no? If we are a no and we are a no, then we probably need to hire someone. And it might not be that you need a permanent team member to run it. It actually might be that you need to hire a consultant. So we had a challenge a few years ago where we were like, gosh, we keep running these big events. We've hired some of the participants who were in our events to coach. And then we were like, we'll get the coaches on the calls to convert people into the program. And that worked once or twice. And then we went, we're starting to lose money. We're not seeing the same kind of conversions. And so I didn't want to hire a whole external sales team. I didn't want to outsource those conversations to someone else. So what I did is I brought a consultant in to train our people on an effective sales process for us to level up their skills, to lay out all of those foundations. I didn't have the knowledge to be able to do that. I didn't know how. I needed to find my who, brought them in, trained my team, and we leveled up. So it really is usually a really simple process. If you don't have the capacity, you probably need to hire someone. Is it something that AI can solve? If the answer is no, then you need to find the right person. Pull from your network, ask who is the best, and just make that change happen. So if you can talk and give a speech or give a presentation and bring people into your practice, you're really fortunate. So there's some key numbers that we look at when we're running a talk, notwithstanding the fact running traffic or trying to put people into the room. But let's say you have 100 people who showed up live to hear you speak. And if when you are speaking, you give them a call to action, meaning you invite them to take a next step forward with you, either to jump on a call to learn more about their health to see if they're a good patient, or here's my QR code, book an appointment. Your expectation should be that at most 10% of the room would convert. So if you've got 100 people in there, the best we could hope for is that 10% are going to want to put up their hand and move forward, meaning the 90 aren't ready. The 90 aren't necessarily at a place where their health feels like the main thing that they need to address, or they're not ready to have this intimate clinical conversation with you. So I want to acknowledge that if people don't put up their hand, it's not that they don't want to work with you. It's that these numbers, we've been looking at these numbers for the last 10 years. They hold so steady, 10% of the room, expect that to convert, not more. If we're going to convert, it means that they're probably in the right place in the right time. It means they actually probably didn't just hear you speak once. They've probably been stalking you on your Instagram. They've probably been reading your blog post. They probably heard about you from a friend. So I don't want to pretend that we'll just show up and give a talk and suddenly someone will be so enamored that they're ready to work with you. So if we want to turn this into a long-term relationship, we've got to nurture, we've got to build trust, and we've got to stand in a position of authority. So for sure, if you want to convert this into a long-term patient, anticipate that you actually need to be creating content upfront. Number 2, in your talk, which I'm going to just assume is compelling and interesting, and you're dynamic, and you demonstrated your authority to the room, you must invite them to take the next step with you. The next step might be a call, and the next step might be to actually book that appointment. But in the absence of making that ask, we can't expect them to want to step forward. But if 10% of that room steps forward because you put a QR code on the screen behind you, or you invited them to get on a call, that is amazing. But I'm just going to take this conversation and this question one step further and say it's the remaining 90 people in the room where you actually have the most potential long-term income. And with those remaining 90 people in the room, you can actually expect maximum conversion from them if you also make a commitment at the same time to nurture them. So most of the conversion in your business will actually come from the nurture that you are invested in doing on the backside of these types of talks. So it's not one thing. It's going to be a confluence of the stars aligning for that 10%. And then if you want to really hit home and maximize the possibility of working with the remaining 90 in the room, you have a very strong nurture strategy. You invite them to get on your list. And if you get in the habit of doing this over and over again, you will have a practice that continues to grow in this direction.